Are we live? Welcome to the second draw of the 2019 U-18 Canadian National Championships. My name is Dustin Mickish, and joined beside me is...
Paige Papley.
We would like to acknowledge that we are competing this week on the traditional lands of the Treaty 6 nations, including the Blackfoot, Cree, Dene, Gros Ventre, Métis, Nakota Sioux, and Saulteaux. Indigenous people were joined by settlers and pioneers who together built this great community of Strathcona County. This evening's games are, in the arena, on Sheet A, we have Nova Scotia versus Yukon girls. Sheet B, Manitoba versus Quebec boys. On Sheet D, Newfoundland and Labrador versus Quebec girls. On Sheet E, Newfoundland and Labrador versus Saskatchewan boys. And in the curling club side, on Sheet F, Northwest Territories versus Manitoba girls. Sheet G, Alberta host versus Nova Scotia boys. On Sheet H, Prince Edward Island versus New Brunswick boys. And on Sheet I, Northern Ontario versus Alberta host girls. And our feature sheet tonight on Sheet C is British Columbia versus Nova Scotia host boys.
So, to determine hammer for this competition, they throw 2 draws to the button in their pregame practice. Either turn was selected by either team, so BC through the clockwise rotation and Nova Scotia through the counterclockwise rotation. BC hit button on both of their draws to the pin, so they will have hammer to start this game. All right, looks like we're starting. Everyone shaking hands, and the game's about to begin.
Games will begin in 1 minute. Practice slides may be taken. Good luck and good curling.
So we're just getting underway here in Sherwood Park. Both teams getting some practice slides in just to get warmed up and get ready to go for the game.
As we previously determined in pregame practice, BC does have hammers, so Nova Scotia will throw first, and the lead for Nova Scotia is Aiden Kavanaugh. He is 16 years old. They're calling to put this one in the top of the house.
So here we have lead Tyler Powell for Team BC, currently in grade 12. Just looking here to come around top 4. Looking like we're not going to have a very possibly aggressive end, although Nova Scotia came up just a little bit light on the first rock.
Looks like the opposite problem for BC here with their first rock. Aiden will try to put it in the top 4 again.
So just a little bit about this Nova Scotia team. Because Yukon and Nunavut did not send a team on the boys' side, Nova Scotia was given 2 berths by Curling Canada because Nova Scotia won the 2018 Under-18 National. So that's why we have 2 teams from Nova Scotia here this week.
So this Nova Scotia team actually was the runner-up at their provincial event this year.
And here we have second, Benjamin Morin, currently in grade 12.
All you. Line straight. I think you got a goal. Hard, guys, goal.
Sorry, still lead Tyler Powell.
Hard, Mitchell. Goal. Hard, Mitchell. Goal. Hard. Your first one was 13. I don't even know how.
All right, so up next for Nova Scotia, we have the second, Chris Churchill. We're gonna switch turns this time for his draw in. He is also 16 years old and in grade 11.
Weight looks good coming into the house here, drawing up to the T line, trying to get that finish around the center guard.
looks like you can still see a good majority of that rock from the hack.
So here's second Benjamin Morin, currently in grade 12, is going to look here to freeze onto the rock on the tee line.
Hey, clean, low. Yep. Yep. Hard. Hard and goal.
Just looks like a little bit tight and maybe a little bit light coming in.
Hard, hard.
Paige, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about the curl and the arena ice this week here in Sherwood Park.
So if you notice, they are taking a substantial amount of ice for their draws. So on Chris Churchill's last rock, they had ice outside of the 12-foot. So the rocks and the ice both are very aggressive with their curl. But you will see a lot less curl on hits than draws. Chris with his second, I believe he's throwing a guard for his first rock. That'll protect his first rock.
So we see here both teams not afraid to mix it up in the first end of the game.
Got a lot of rocks in play for the first end of this game.
Yeah, Aiden. Hard, Aiden. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go.
Very nice shot.
They did not call the guard. That was my bad.
So Nova Scotia here now sitting 2.
Behind quite a few guards.
Sitting 3 actually, without the hammer. So BC is going to look here to open it up to try and open up the 4-foot to potentially score.
First hit we've seen this game. Made contact with quite a few of those rocks, but was still unable to completely open up the 4-foot.
So Nova Scotia here is looking to put a guard up in the center line, try and guard 3 shot stones that they have in play right now.
Kieran McIntosh is the third throwing this shot for Nova Scotia.
Sweeper's off this one, it looks like, maybe a little bit heavy. Looks like it will need to curl a little bit to get to the center line to guard the rocks in the house. Just a little bit heavy.
Did come in for second shot though, I believe.
Definitely opportunity for BC here now to remove a couple yellow rocks that are shot. From third, Mitchell Kapitko.
Oh! Oh, no. Not even close. Hard, Ben, hard.
Second, Ben trying to get some curl to finish the rock. Just rolls out a little bit high side.
So Kieran will try and throw this guard again. Hopefully he'll come up as a guard this time to protect that shot stone.
No line, no line. All four.
It's like Nova Scotia is trying to throw another guard. It's not curling and quite enough for them.
Go now. Yep.
Looks like they're going to try and finish the rock here. So maybe just sliding a little bit wide or potentially a little bit too much ice. Just didn't get that finish.
Take the double. You're like normal.
Still got enough out of that. You have to make a double to get rid of that shot stone, so it's still a pretty good shot.
Oh. Yep. Close. Yep. Hey. Oh.
very close to getting at that shot stone for BC, but just not quite.
So skip on Nova Scotia, looking to put a guard up. They're currently sitting 2 shot stones. Try and block British Columbia from getting into the forefoot.
Nova Scotia skip is Ethan Young. He is also 16 years old and in grade 11, just like a bunch of other people on his team.
So taking ice on the edge of the 12-foot just early in the week. Ice is still curling a lot. Looking to finish the rock here. Get some curl.
Pretty small hole they left, but I think there's still a hole there.
Yeah, very tight hole to come through. Probably has to throw a little bit quieter weight if they want to get through.
It's been interesting considering this first end for Team Nova Scotia. We have yet to really see an overcurl.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So here we have skip Eric Colwell. Must be close, cleaning it. Now going hard on it. Just a little bit of an overcurl. That was a pretty tight port.
Nova Scotia is going to have another chance to guard this rock in the forefoot.
So we just heard Nova Scotia say a 3, so they're looking for a tight guard to the rings. Trying to make it tough on BC to score this end.
He is having to throw the opposite turn he threw on his last, but should still be okay.
Looks like Nova Scotia tightened the ice up about a broom head. They had it on about the edge of 12 foot before, so maybe just picking up that it isn't curling maybe as much as it was in practice. The rocks might not be curling quite as much.
Could also be due to the fact that the frost has come off the ice in this first end of play, as opposed to practice.
So might have left still a little bit of a hole. Like Paige saying, the frost is coming off, so you tends to get a little bit straighter, less curl. So in practice, it's a little bit fresher. It's a very tight port. So maybe looking at trying the run back here for Team BC. So lining up the run back here. Doesn't look like he's going to be throwing a ton of weight. Maybe just a firm weight, like an 8, not quite peel. Try and stick the shooter here.
I believe if he makes the shot, it might just be for 1. I don't know if that back 12-foot red rock of BC's would come into play.
Sweepers on and off, must be close here. Just not quite. So that'll be a steal of 2, I believe, for Team Nova Scotia here in the first end. So we see here Team BC just trying to make the rock curl a little bit.
All right, so Nova Scotia again is going to try to start the end off in the house. Hopefully top 4. As Dustin previously said, he is taking a little bit less ice than he gave his lead in the first end. As you just heard Ethan say, the rock is going to start curling quite hard, as it has. That's just the nature of the arena ice and the surface that they're playing on, along with some fairly aggressive rocks.
Yeah, so that draw here, curling a little bit more, crossing the center line. It's one of our first over curls of the game.
For Team Nova Scotia. BC called the corner guard on their lead's first rock.
Yeah, so this NBC is just going to look to get their 2 back, throw up a corner guard, try and get some rocks in play, create some scoring opportunities here. Hard sweep here from Team BC, just gets it over the hog line.
It's a really good sweep by the sweepers there.
So Nova Scotia here, not looking afraid here, just gonna throw up a guard here.
Electing to take the same turn as he threw on his first one to hopefully have a very similar path. So the lead has the best opportunity to make an adjustment from the weight of his first rock to the second.
Line looks close here. Just slipping into the house. Still a good pair from the lead here.
BC's still going to stay away from the middle third of the sheet and play towards the outer thirds.
Throwing 2 corner guards here.
They're throwing a second corner guard because that top one is so high, and the amount of curl in the ice, even if you get perfectly buried behind it, there's a very, very high chance that Nova Scotia will be able to get behind and take out their shot rock.
Good line on those 2 guards. Definitely room to come around them later in the end. Looks like Team Nova Scotia here throwing up the guard. Just wicks off the corner guard. And turns out pretty good.
That was a very good plan B call by the skip. BC is now electing to do something with those middle 3 rocks.
So hoping to get rid of a couple of rocks or potentially 1 rock and roll over, maybe into the rings. Very nice shot from Team BC. Does remove 1.
rolls to a really good place, though, a tight corner guard on the other side, so they now have multiple opportunities to go behind some of their guards, hopefully on some upcoming rocks. They also were able to move all 3 of Nova Scotia's rocks that were around the center line and move them to a lot better places in BC's point of view. This team from Nova Scotia was also the representatives for Nova Scotia at the Canada Winter Games this year.
Yeah, so taking place in Red Deer at the end of February. Very good opportunity to gain some experience competing in a national championship representing your province.
So that Nova Scotia rock that they just threw ended up a little bit deep and behind BC's corner guard, so it actually gives BC a pretty good opportunity to freeze a rock in there that'll be quite hard for Nova Scotia to remove.
Yep. Line's good. Line's good. Line's good. Make sure it's here. Take a look. Take a look. No.
Really nice shot by BC there.
Trying to get some finish curl on the rock here.
Dustin, could you explain the purpose of what sweeper goes inside and what you mean by getting some more curl or finish?
So the inside sweeper, when instead of sweeping against the rock, they're going to try and sweep with the rock to try and promote curl.
We've seen both teams try and do this on some draws as well as BC on some hits.
Hard sweep here from Team British Columbia. Here we see the finish, trying to get the rock to curl from the outside sweeper.
Another pretty good shot to leave them sitting 2 now.
Yeah, the 2 is definitely setting up nicely here for Team BC. Looks like Team Nova Scotia here is going to try and hit and roll under. Nose hit.
A little bit of an undercurl there, but that still plays pretty well.
So BC has to be careful here not to roll to a spot where they can run that yellow back for a double. It would be pretty tight to the corner guard though, so that would be tough. Another nose hit. So we've had a couple nose hits here. Maybe Team Nova Scotia might take a little bit less ice.
Both teams are trying to get the roll under, just not quite getting as much curl as they wanted to.
Here we have Skip Ethan Young for Nova Scotia.
Skips first in the second end.
Looks just a little bit wide again. Curling here more now.
BC discussing which way they want to roll, but also noticing the possibility of setting up a double depending on where their rock rolls, which is not what they want to do because they are trying to score there to this end.
Yeah, it looks like BC here is taking a little bit more ice. They might be trying to throw a little less weight so the rock will curl a little bit more so they can get that roll. We just heard a 10-4, which is a nice, easy, controlled takeout weight.
Brings the sweepers into play a little bit more than if you threw a little bit harder of a takeout weight.
Very close here, cleaning the rock. Sweepers on it now. Trying to get curl here.
Another nose hit, still sitting 2 for BC.
Nova Scotia here talking about potentially trying the double here, but also a nose hit. BC would have to draw the forfeit for their 2 points this end. So here we have Ethan Young. Last rock for Team Nova Scotia in the second end. Nova Scotia hard on it now. Little bit of an overcurl. BC still sitting 1 red, so BC has their opportunity to draw for their 2 points here in the second. Last rock in the second from Skip, Eric Colwell. Sweepers sweeping now here. Looks like it's very close. Hard sweep from Team BC. Looks
really close.
Awesome shot from Eric Colwell to get that 2 points back here in the second.
So for the first time this game, Nova Scotia will have the hammer in the third end.
Right on the button. Great weight from Skip.
Good managed by the sweepers as well to make sure that they put it where they needed to.
So here at the Canadian Under-18, we would just like to thank some of our tremendous sponsors, our platinum sponsors, Alberta Sport Connection and Strathcona County. They are very generous during events like this. Lead, Tyler Powell. Just looking to draw one here into the top 4. Paige, I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about how aggressive these U-18 teams have been in the first two ends versus maybe playing a couple ends open, playing lots of hits, get a feel for the ice, but they are definitely not afraid to mix it up here.
Not at all. We only saw, I think, 2 hits played in the first end. These games are only 8 ends, so unlike a 10-end game, you don't have as much time to like just get there and get comfortable and like take your time. These teams are both very comfortable with their draw weight after pregame practice and use that well. So they just want to get going. And for Nova Scotia in the first end, it worked out well, and BC was very able to climb back and get their 2 in the second end.
So we here see Nova Scotia electing not to throw a corner guard. It's an odd end, so maybe try and get their 2 points in an even end, hitting the first stone.
This end is looking like it'll be a lot more open than what we've seen so far from either of these teams.
Sweeper's hard on this one too. Looks like we might be just staying here for a guard. No, it's coming in here nice. Great weight from the lead.
This BC team obviously used their pregame practice quite well and has got a very good handle on draw weight for the game.
Which is very impressive. It's Team BC's first national championship here.
They did play in the junior provincials in BC and were actually the runners-up. They lost to reigning world champion at the U-21 level, Tyler Tardy.
So definitely having big game experience playing against the likes of Tyler Tardy. Looks like Team BC here is going to throw a center guard, maybe try and generate a steal here.
Or even a force. Forcing Team Nova Scotia in an odd end would be a very good thing to try and accomplish.
So in that last rock, Nova Scotia rolling out, so this gives BC a chance to continue to learn that draw weight. So we see here Team Nova Scotia not getting drawn into aggressive play here in the third, looking to peel this rock out. Nice rock from Team Nova Scotia. They might have been looking to hit and roll over for a corner guard, but peeling it out's just fine.
BC just electing to throw another guard. This one a lot tighter than the last, but still a really good rock. And Nova Scotia is trying to just roll to a corner guard to hopefully bring play from the middle to the sides.
Just rolling out of play here. So BC will get to throw another draw. This is third, Mitchell Kapitko.
They've decided to throw the opposite side of the sheet that they have all end on this one.
Really curling. Oh, just you.
Nice guard. So here we'll see Team Nova Scotia just looking to hit and roll over for a corner guard again.
Sweep call, or the sweeper is called on quite early.
It's a great shot.
Yeah, not the way they wanted to make it, but it works.
So BC here electing not to peel it, but rather go around it. Try and create that force like Paige talked about a little bit earlier on. BC would be more than happy here to be forcing Team Nova Scotia to take their single point here in the third end.
Our line! Our line! Nautical line! Hard, Betty! Hard!
Looks like this one was a little light,
Yep.
or just tight,
Yep.
but they have made another guard on the outside third of the sheet, which is still in favor of Nova Scotia, as they do have hammer, so they're going to try and come around and hopefully be able to score there too. This is third, Kieran McIntosh.
Line's good. Line's done. Line's perfect, guys. Sit.
Hard sweep from Team Nova Scotia.
Line's perfect.
Looks like the line is coming in here nice. Weight looks good. Great shot from Team Nova Scotia. Burying right around those two corner guards that are now overlapped. So because BC came up just a little bit light, cannot play the run back now. So we'll be looking to freeze.
If this freeze is made pretty well, BC would have a very good opportunity to force Nova Scotia this end. But this is also a fairly high level difficulty shot.
Yeah, definitely not an easy shot. It's pretty precise draw. Has to have about 4 foot weight. And that two guards are very tight, so we'll have to come by them pretty tight.
Line's good. Right here, guys. Line's good. Yep. Hard.
Really hard sweep from Team BC here. Coming up just a little bit late again. Bit of an over curl.
Nova Scotia again will come around the pile of guards now and join the other one that they threw before.
So yeah, Team Nova Scotia here definitely looking to sit two here and get their deuce back here in the third end. Potentially a 3-ender in play here if he makes this one really good.
Sweepers are staying close by on this one.
Nice weight from Team Nova Scotia, maybe coming just a little bit deeper than they like. Team BC now has the opportunity to freeze one in there. try and potentially force Nova Scotia to take their single point here, or even two.
Fairly nice for Eric Colwell as he just threw this shot, so he should have a relatively good idea of weight, and they've adjusted the broom from his last shot, so I'm assuming he'll be quite close on this one.
Eric definitely had really awesome draw weight in the draw to the button for hammer. Sweepers on and off, weight looks close. Unfortunately, coming just a little bit deep. So Team Nova Scotia here has a draw for 3 in the third end. So here, skip Ethan Young, having just played this shot, should have a really good idea of the path here and the weight.
Looks close. Sweepers are kind of on and off the whole way down.
Awesome weight from Skip of Team Nova Scotia for 3 points here in the third end.
Got quite a decent crowd here. Looks like every team has a decent number of fans, and it sounds quite loud out on the ice, which is always nice as a player.
Yeah, so this isn't our only game. We have Manitoba versus Quebec on the boys' side on sheet B. Currently, Manitoba is up 2-1 on Quebec, playing the fourth end. Quebec will have hammer. On sheet E, Saskatchewan is up 5-0 in the fourth end. Newfoundland has hammer. And the Alberta host team is down 4-0 against Team Nova Scotia. And on sheet H, Prince Edward Island is up 2-0 on Team New Brunswick. On the girls' side, on sheet A, we have Team Nova Scotia up 4-0 on Yukon. On sheet D, Quebec is up 2-1 on Newfoundland. On sheet F, we have Manitoba, who is up 3-1 on the Northwest Territories. And on sheet I, we have host Alberta team against Northern Ontario, tied 2-2, playing the third end.
So Nova Scotia elected to throw their first drop in the top four. A bit of an over curl, but still in a very good place for them. BC is now throwing a corner guard.
BC definitely wants this to stop in the guard, coming a little bit deep. So Nova Scotia will hit this. So even though Nova Scotia is up 5-2 on Team BC, lots of game time left, and especially with the 5-rock rule coming into play this year. Paige, can you tell us a little bit about the new 5-rock rule?
So basically, you have a free guard zone, and that's all the area that's considered in play except in the house. And if one of the first 5 rocks of the end is in the free guard zone, the other team cannot hit like the opposition's rocks out of play. So if BC's rock would have stopped as a guard and not in the house, Nova Scotia would not have been able to hit that rock out. It promotes a little bit more aggressive play, and you don't see as many clean ends.
Yeah, so Team BC having a chance to throw another corner guard. If it was the 4 rock, they would be able to peel this, but now they have to opt to do something else.
Yeah, so this one is looking like it will be in the guard zone, not in the house. So Nova Scotia will not have an opportunity to hit this out of play.
Nice shot from the lead. Nova Scotia here electing to throw a tight guard on those 2 yellows, Nova Scotia stones that are in the 4-foot. Sweepers just cleaning, looks like trying to finish the rock now. Hit it to curl, touch the center line. Nice shot.
Yeah, very nice shot. Even though that one is in the rings, we are past the point in the end where you can't hit things in the free guard zone, but it still provides some protection, and BC is going to have to move quite a lot of granite to be able to score a few points this end.
Still early in the end for Team British Columbia. Lots of time to try and generate a deuce here in the 4th. Great shot from Team British Columbia. Makes the triple.
Yeah, that was a very great shot. Their shot rock did roll into the rings, so Nova Scotia is electing to hit it. It looked like he did motion for the roll under the corner guard.
Yeah, so Team British Columbia still has a corner guard to work with. Team Nova Scotia electing to hit this rock. So later in the end, they will have a chance to use their corner guard. This one may be a little bit wide, curling now. So rolling out of play here from Team Nova Scotia. BC is going to have that chance to use the corner guard now.
Sweepers motioning, they think the weight might be a little heavy.
Cleaning it now, looks pretty close. So we're directly behind this sheet. It looks like Team Nova Scotia can see all of the rocks, so they will hit this out.
We are on to thirds rocks now.
Nice shot from Team Nova Scotia, but BC will again attempt to bury around the corner guard. That corner guard is a little bit high, so potentially, even if it is buried, Team Nova Scotia may be able to get at it with a little bit less of a takeout weight.
Being down 3, they need to try and hide something around a guard at some point to be able to generate a multiple point score. And we still have enough rocks left in this end that it's quite likely, as long as they make a decent amount of shots.
Here we see trying to make the rock curl. It's curling here very nicely.
Ben Morin with the finish.
Great weight from Team British Columbia. That rock is directly behind the corner guard.
Very good shot.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
So Team Nova Scotia here thinks they can get at it with an 11, which is a little bit of a lighter takeout weight, seeing as the guard is a little bit long.
As Dustin previously said, that guard is quite high, so it looks like this could be likely to hit their rock out, even though it is almost perfectly buried.
Right off. Think so. Nice.
Making contact was pretty good, and they actually, Nova Scotia is still shot.
Yeah, so with Team Nova Scotia shot here, Team BC is still going to look to bury around the corner guard here on third, second rock. So maybe try and leave the rock a little bit higher in the house into the 8-foot, so if they do attempt to come around the high corner guard, it's a little bit harder to get at.
Yet to have a broom down. There we go.
Yeah, so we see Team BC wanting it to stop top 8-foot.
It's looking a little hot.
Team BC is sitting 1 here. Look to remove this again. But because it stopped in the back 8, it's a little bit deeper, so Team Nova Scotia will be able to get at this to sit 2. Rocky is curling, sweeping to straighten it up, and just racks on the guard.
Unfortunately, they took that one over to cover a little bit of the BC third shot rock in the house as well. BC still sitting 1, debating if they're going to come around the guard that was left or just hit and sit 3.
Team British Columbia here talking about different options. They are only sitting 1 right now, but if they do elect to hit the yellow rock, they might leave a double. So here we see Team BC electing not to hit, but rather play the come around. So Skip Eric did throw 2 draws last end, so we'll see if he can draw one here into the top 4 or top 8.
Try and make a good one to ensure that they can hopefully score multiple this end. Because getting forced when you're down 3 is not ideal.
Top 8, guys. Top 8, top 4. Top 8 here. Yep.
Line looks really good here. Brushers are on and off it, so weight should be close. Awesome shot from Skip of Team British Columbia.
Very nice shot, perfectly behind that guard. So you're forcing Nova Scotia to not be able to actually do anything with shot rock right now.
So Team Nova Scotia here electing to hit second shot stone. Hopefully roll in for a second shot. Tough one on for Team Nova Scotia here, so BC will have a chance to get their 3 right back here in the 4th end. Just rolling a little bit too far on this last one. Hard sweep from Team British Columbia. Looks really close.
Just
Cleaning now. Wow, and just like that, we have 3 for Team British Columbia to tie the game back up here at 5-5.
BC's got a loud cheering crowd here tonight. Yeah, so we are at the 4th end break now. The teams get 5 minutes to sit down and maybe have a snack and talk to their coach. right, so we're back from the fourth end break.
So both teams, BC and Nova Scotia here, tied at 5 after the fourth end. We just got some.
So that was the shot BC threw to give up the steal of 2 in the first end. Then this great draw by Eric Colwell to score 2 in the second end.
And here in the fourth end, BC getting their 3 back to tie the game here at 5, heading into the second half of the game.
So BC on their first rock, I believe they called the guard, and they just came a little bit deep. So Nova Scotia is electing to hit this rock.
So Nova Scotia here will have hammer in the fifth end. So that leaves a center guard for BC to come around. Team Nova Scotia was hoping to roll for the corner guard. Hard sweep here from Team BC.
Looks like we've got some great sweepers out on this sheet of ice.
Just a little bit light. Line looked really good. Not sure if that yellow is biting. From the screen, doesn't look like the rock is in.
Nova Scotia will also try to come around.
Yeah, so we can see that this rock looks like it is maybe just out of play, but we don't know because we don't have directly over top of the rock. Coming in here a little bit deep, but pretty good draw weight from Team Nova Scotia.
So each team is actually on a time clock. Dustin, did you want to explain what the time clocks and what they're timing?
Yeah, so teams here at the National Under 18 have 32 minutes of what we call thinking time, which is essentially the time to decide what shot they're going to play. So as soon as the team takes control of the house, they start their clock until the player crosses the throwing tee line.
Very nice shot by BC there. Makes the double.
Both teams, Nova Scotia and BC, do have quite a bit of thinking time for this last half, but as we see in the second half of the game, strategy might take a little bit longer, so we will watch the clocks a little bit here.
Especially because this is a very tight game, as they are tied and are both playing quite well.
So Team Nova Scotia has 18 minutes and 11 seconds. And Team British Columbia has 16 minutes and 28 seconds. So with 4 ends left, they want about 4 to 4.5 minutes per end to play.
They're also both above the halfway mark of their original time they started with, which was 32 minutes.
So here we have second Benjamin.
Just slips into the house. Second, Chris Churchill for Nova Scotia with the peel.
So Team Nova Scotia here in the 5th, and more than happy to get a blank out of the 5th then and try and have hammer in the 6th and even end. In British Columbia, throwing a tight guard to try and force Team Nova Scotia to take one.
Hard line. This is gonna curl a while.
So they've hit this one quite early to hold the line.
Over and off.
The over and off call that was just given is because it is over curling, and the longer or the farther they try and take it, the more it's going to curl. So to try and leave it in about where they want it, they just want the rock to stop.
So we're just going to run through some of the other games happening on the other sheets. So we have on the boys' side Manitoba versus Quebec. Manitoba's up 5-1 after the 4th end. And here on our featured sheet, British Columbia versus Nova Scotia is tied at 5 after the 4th. Team Saskatchewan is up 5-2 after the 4th end on Team Newfoundland. And the Alberta host team is down 1 playing Team Nova Scotia after the 3rd end. Prince Edward Island is up 3-0 on Team New Brunswick after the 4th end. And on the girls' side, we have Team Nova Scotia playing Yukon up 8-0 after the 4th end. And we have Team Newfoundland and Team Quebec tied at 2 after the 4th end. And we have Team Manitoba up 4-1 on the Northwest Territories. And on sheet I, we have Team Northern Ontario and the Alberta host team tied at 3 after the 4th.
While Dustin was going over the scores, we saw BC throw a guard, and then Nova Scotia again attempt to peel or just roll to a corner. They kind of went in between, and the corner that, or the rock that got left in play is quite towards the edge of the sheet, only guarding a small bit of the 12-foot. They've done exactly the same thing with the next 2 rocks.
Team British Columbia here just looking to draw one into the rings.
And we are already on Skip's rocks in this 5th end of play.
So they are throwing the tight guard here. Weight looks good.
Nova Scotia not electing to peel this center guard that BC has now thrown.
This is a little bit of a surprise here since the teams have been having a fairly open end here, but Team Nova Scotia looks like they're going to try and get their deuce here.
They chose to play the clockwise rotation, same as BC has been throwing all end. Gives them a little bit more of a reference to go off of, even though a lot of the times you can't ice yourself off of the other team, but it's just a small reference point that they're using to try and make this shot instead of electing to throw the other turn.
Weight looks really good from Team Nova Scotia here. They can maybe see Team BC a little bit of it, so they might try and remove it, but may try the freeze to force Team Nova Scotia to take their single here in the 5th.
Sounds like they've decided to throw hack weight at this.
Yeah, Team BC can see about half of the stone, so we'll try and remove it from play. Electing to take a little bit more ice, thinking it might curl a bit more in this spot. Here is last rock from Team British Columbia skip Eric Cowell.
Trying to get a little bit of curl at the end of this to hopefully catch the rock.
So hits about half a rock, but doesn't quite remove it from play, but stays for shot stone, and it looks like Team Nova Scotia will have a hit for 2 here in the 5th end of play.
And this is Ethan Young with his last rock.
So it looks like skip Ethan is taking a little bit of ice, so won't be throwing a super heavy takeout here. Sweeper's off this one. Looks a little bit wide. And just rolls out of play, so Team Nova Scotia is forced to a single here in the 5th, with BC having hammer playing the 6th end. Here's the replay. So hits about half, but rolls just a little bit too far.
Not quite what they wanted, but they are now leading in this game, about to play the 6th end. A lot of the times there's a lot of importance placed on scoring in the 6th end. Dustin, why is that?
So having scoring in the 6th end is really important here in an 8-end game. So if Team Nova Scotia was to blank, then they would have essentially 2 hammers to 1. So they technically would have a chance to score in the 6th and 8th end with hammer versus just in the 7th end, Team British Columbia only having 1 hammer. But also as well, if Team Nova Scotia did take their 2, that is definitely an advantage, and having scoring multiples with the hammer.
Hammer efficiency is very important.
Yeah, very interesting in the 5th end. That is our first single point of the game. This game has been quite high scoring, with team scoring with the hammer, and also we saw the steal of 2 in the 1st end from Team Nova Scotia.
Eric Colwell just said that the tighter this guard to the rings can be, the better. Why is that?
Yep, tighter the better. Tighter the better.
So Team BC is trying to throw here a tight guard because if you leave your guard too high, we did see a couple ends ago that Team Nova Scotia was able to get enough curl to take rocks out. So the tighter they are, the more likely they are to have to throw the run back.
Very true.
So Team British Columbia here really going to try and get their deuce here in the 6th end to try and take that 1-point lead. And potentially even a 3 with setting up the corner guard early.
Nova Scotia, again, just trying to fill up the center line with their rocks and make BC do something with them. Looks like this one's just going to be a guard, which is fine because they do have a rock in their forefoot.
I think if you come through, you're going to be here.
Important part about throwing a guard when you have a rock like that is to try and guard this, like the side that is closest to the opposition's corner guard. If you guard the opposite side, it actually leaves them a hit and roll under their corner guard, which is more to an advantage of that team. But if you end up, like obviously you want to be right over top of it, but if you're not, leaving the other side showing is a little bit better because you limit access to the corner guard basically.
It's just a little bit heavy here. Still lots of time on this end for Team British Columbia to use that corner guard. But Team Nova Scotia is going to look to throw this top 4, top 8 to cut down the scoring area.
A lot of the time in this game, I've noticed too that a lot of our scoring opportunities and like where the end starts to develop and where they end up scoring their points is very, very late in the end. So they still have a lot of time.
Sweeper saying this one is about back 8, a little bit heavy, hanging out there a little bit wide. Skip Eric's going to try and sweep this one through. Unfortunately, just a little bit heavy on that one. The line looked pretty good.
Both teams getting tricked by that spot.
Paige, I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the arena ice here and maybe feeling faster underfoot for these young athletes who are in their first national championship on the arena ice.
So arena ice, as you can all tell, curls quite a bit more, but a lot of the times the speed can also be faster than your average curling club ice. It is usually warmer in arenas than it is in curling clubs, which means there's sometimes less frost and the rocks are just able to slide further. A lot of the times on arena ice, sweepers are able to actually do a little bit more as well, drag rocks a little bit further than you usually would. Or rocks won't grind in as hard as it would in club ice. So it's just really learning your environment. Every club is different, every sheet is different, but just getting used to where you are is what's really important.
Yeah, and this is the 5th rock here in this same exact path. So we often notice on arena ice, each time you throw that rock, the ice is actually a little bit quicker. So it just glides that little bit further each time.
Being very path aware is very important because if you do get into a path like this where it's full keen, you have to know that it's full keen and kick the right. But if you also end up throwing a path that has yet to be played, it'll be quite a bit heavier, more similar to the beginning of the game. So just really knowing your sheet is also very important.
So it looks like Team Nova Scotia was able to find draw weight on that one. Very nice shot. And Team British Columbia now looking to open it up here by playing the run back. So Team British Columbia here playing the run back. Still rolls over for a corner guard, so now they have 2 corners on that side, but Team Nova Scotia is still sitting 2, and it looks like that back red is out of play. Yeah, so we can just see the brushers talking to the thrower here about the path being very quick in this spot. Sweepers are backing off this one like it is a little bit heavy.
Trying to get it to finish up at the end with the curl sweeping technique.
Yeah, so Eric looking here to play the double. Her team, British Columbia rather. Maybe try and get out of this end with a blank and potentially go to the 7th end to score their 2.
Even scoring your 1's okay here. The biggest thing you want to avoid is giving up a steal.
Yeah, definitely getting 1 here is not too bad of a situation. That means you would have 1 hammer each, and if you ever did force Team Nova Scotia to 1, you'd only be down 1 with the hammer playing the 8th end with the all-important 5 rock.
And in this instance, they are, like, if they did end up scoring 1, they would be tied. So that's, again, keeping the game close, keeping things good, and just fighting it out till the very end.
And we have seen all game that both teams scoring multiple points in the end, so timeout here from Team Nova Scotia. So we will see Coach Brian McIntosh come out to the ice here to talk with Team Nova Scotia.
Each team is allowed 2 90-second timeouts a game, where both coaches from either team can come out and talk to their team about the shots or the strategy or really whatever they feel, but just try and help their team out a little bit.
Team Nova Scotia may feel this is a great chance at stealing by maybe potentially throwing a guard or even trying to block it the 4-foot up with putting 1 in the 12-foot.
Dustin, what shot do you like the guard the best out of all these shots?
I personally like the tight guard on the right side of the sheet. You would leave a very wide draw to the 4-foot or a very tough blank double. So what would you do here, Paige?
Yeah, I don't mind the guard. I also don't mind like trying to, you could even try and come in and put a little bit more pressure on BC. They have been quite accurate with their takeouts though, so it's a little bit, kind of depends what you want to do. I wouldn't mind putting it like, almost like the Christmas tree in the 4-foot. Tuck a piece behind that top 8-foot one, because you definitely can on this ice.
Yeah, that is definitely a great call. What Team Nova Scotia is planning on doing, just biting the 12-foot by putting another rock in play, but also trying to leave enough separation so the double or the triple is very difficult.
Yeah, just having this one biting is a really good call.
So we've had almost every rock in this end coming down this path, so should be very quick. Just taps that one a couple feet. Nice shot.
Not what they wanted to do, but not a terrible result for Nova Scotia.
Yeah, so Team British Columbia here looking to play the double in the roll. Sits second shot here. This is the third's last rock. This rock looks very close, on and off it. So opens it up, removes one Team Nova Scotia rock from play here.
Unfortunately, did not get rid of both Nova Scotia rocks and didn't quite make it under cover, but still pretty good as the whole forefoot and the centerline area is fairly wide open.
So now Team Nova Scotia here just looking to hit and roll open a little bit, try and make sure they don't jam on these back rocks here. Sit 3.
Ethan Young with his first rock of the 6th end.
This one just looking a little bit wide, will roll out of play. But still, Team Nova Scotia sitting 2 and looking to force here in the 6th end, 2-1. British Columbia looking at a couple shots here, potentially going around their corner guard to set up their 2 points for the end, but also potentially playing the hit and roll to see if there would be a blank possibility or a jam scenario.
By coming around that corner guard, you can ensure that you have second shot, which is quite important. But there are still a couple rocks of Nova Scotia's in the house, which makes scoring your 2 a little bit harder. Looks like they've elected to play the double or the hit and roll.
We'll just see where the brim is here. Looks like Team British Columbia has elected to play the hit and roll. This is a very long roll. We haven't seen any rocks out here this wide on this side of the sheet, so we will see if there's any frost building up at all. That might cause some extra curl. It's like asking for a little bit less ice. Looks close, off and on it. It's not quite rolling, so.
They are sitting second shot now, but Nova Scotia still is sitting the 1.
Very important shot, though, still from Team Nova Scotia to hit and stay, because you wouldn't want to give British Columbia a chance to blank this end to take the hammer into the 7. So simple shot, but yet still very important. Throwing a 10, so a nice, easy, controlled weight.
What does a 10 mean?
So at 10 seconds mean it is a hit weight, so it is between the 2 hog lines that the skip or sweepers will time. Sweepers off this one. But coming up very nicely for the hit and stick, forcing BC to play nose hit on this back 8-1 or potentially a draw to the forefoot for their single.
Good opportunity to get your 1 here, which, as we discussed before, is still a pretty good outcome for the 6th end.
We've seen very nice draw weight from skip Eric Coel in the 4th end where they did get their 3. So I expect Eric to be very close on this shot. Sweepers on and off this one, looks close. Just cleaning it. using that yellow on his backing, and that will be 1 point for Team British Columbia in the 6th end to tie the game 6-6 heading into the 7th end.
His draw weight this game has been really good.
So in between ends here, we would like to thank the silver sponsors 840 CFCW, Derek Fika, Frontier Valve International, and also our bronze sponsors Boston Pizza, Sobeys, Jugo Juice, Asham Curling, Dynasty Curling, and Driving Force.
This event is also being held at the Glen Allen Recreation Center in Sherwood Park, Alberta. It's a beautiful facility that has accommodated this event extremely well up to this point.
Yes, it's been a great time here in Sherwood Park. We have 5 awesome sheets of curling ice here on the arena side, and attached right beside is the curling rink with another 4 sheets of ice in play. So Paige, can you tell me here what we might expect from the both teams here heading into the last 2 ends of the game?
So Nova Scotia does have hammer, so I would assume they might try to blank this end, because having the hammer in the 8th end is very important because it gives you just a really big benefit having hammer. But if they have an opportunity to score 2, there's never a better time to score 2 than now. Gives them a bit of an advantage also going into the 8th end. The only thing you really don't want to do is either give up, even a steal is not the worst because you do have hammer, which gives you a little bit more control, but getting forced here is not ideal.
Yeah, so we see Team British Columbia here throwing that tight guard here in the 7th, probably looking to force Team Nova Scotia to their single, so they would have hammer in the 8th end.
Again, we have not really had the sweepers touch this rock.
Yeah, so it looks like the ice is still very quick out there.
Even though that one is a little bit behind T-line, they've still narrowed the scoring area by a lot. So for like BC to even have a chance at forcing or stealing, they have to make some pretty good shots because that rock is so close to the pin or covering it.
Stay close. Line good. Line good.
The line looks very good on this one. Weight looks close.
Mitchell. Mitchell.
Trying to get some curl here.
Forward, Mitchell. Go. Forward.
This rock curling up very nicely. Very nice shot from the British Columbia lead.
Yeah, that was a really good shot. They're setting up this end really well.
So for both teams, it's their first national under-18 championship. So here late in the game, be interesting to see if there's any nerves from the players, where if they start to throw maybe the rock a little bit harder. But so far, everyone looks like they still are doing very well.
Even though it is their first U-18 national championship, both teams do have a decent amount of experience behind them, like Canada Winter Games or making a U-21 junior provincial final. So I have faith that they'll keep playing as well as they have been all game. Bit of an overcurl there, but still gives them a very good angle at that BC rock top button.
Yeah, pokes out the other side, but still a good angle. Looks like British Columbia is going to try and freeze another rock in there. So we do have our first final on the boys' side. We have Team Saskatchewan picking up their first win over Team Newfoundland, 11-2. And on the girls' side, Team Nova Scotia picking up their first win, 11-2. Sorry, they did win their first game, 8-6 over Ontario.
Another really good shot by Team BC.
Here's the run back from Team Nova Scotia, trying to remove a couple reds from play.
Ending up just making the peel, but that is completely fine as it opens up access to those two BC rocks in the top forefoot.
Team British Columbia are electing to replace the guard.
In this instance, Eric Caldwell is telling them the higher the better. Why has this changed in where he wants the depth of this rock?
Hard from the sweepers here. Yeah, would like the rock to have been a little bit higher than as deep on the last one, just to prevent the run back from being so close together.
They definitely accomplished that with that guard.
Yeah, definitely a high guard. Might try and use their own yellow rock to get at the two reds to come off of it. Playing a little bit of weight on this one. It is a very high guard. Looks very close. Nice shot.
Really great shot by Chris Churchill. Got rid of one of the BC rocks out of the forefoot and also left themselves a very nice angle on shot stone.
I don't like tapping this. Stay right on the nose. Or we do this. I like this. Tap. T-line. T-line weight. You don't like bumping the yellow? You like this?
Yeah, I like what the second here is saying about bumping the yellow potentially. It is almost completely open, so Team Nova Scotia would be likely to just run that one back into their reds. Very interesting comment from Team British Columbia Skip about the ice straightening out.
Why would that happen?
So the tendency in curling rings and arenas is for the ice to straighten out as the game goes on. So you usually get a little bit more curl earlier on in the game, and later on it'll run a little bit straighter. This rock looks like it's just over curling and a bit light.
They did end up guarding their one in the side 8-foot, but they now gave Nova Scotia access to shot stone.
Yeah, there's a bit of a opening here for Team Nova Scotia to potentially maybe pick that rock out of play.
Clean's always a good thing to hear.
Nice rock from Team Nova Scotia.
Yeah, that was a very nice shot.
Very good sweep here. Just hairs that back 4-foot rock. So Team British Columbia third, Mitchell will look to freeze to the back 4 rock here. Potentially creating the force of one.
real close to that corner guard.
Nice shot from Team British Columbia. Just doesn't curl quite enough. That weight was very close. So a nose hit or even a little bit of a roll into sit 3.
Okay, play 13. Yeah, I like that.
The skip indicating that he wants his third to throw a 13-second curling rock down the sheet. So not an overly quick throw, but enough to move BC shot stone
This one
out
looks
of the 4 foot.
a little bit wide.
Sweepers have completely come off of it. Unfortunate missed opportunity with that one.
Yeah, it does stick in the rings for 5th shot. Team British Columbia will probably look to draw another one into the 4 foot. Or potentially a guard. That yellow that they think that the Team Nova Scotia might be able to angle is quite buried from the hack. But with the guard being a bit longer, may be able to raise it closer.
This is a pretty big shot for BC, so they've got some of their team, more of their team than just the third and the skip, discussing this shot.
Yeah, definitely a big shot late in the game here. Already on Skip's first stone. Team British Columbia has not used a timeout, but we are looking like the coach does want to call a timeout. So Team British Columbia has called a timeout, so we will see Coach Dale Hoffer go down.
As the play is going on at the away end of the sheet and not where the coaches are situated, they're actually allowed to walk, or only the team's coach that called the timeout is allowed to actually go down to the end where the play is happening.
So Paige, what do you think you would do in this situation?
You are sitting shot right now, which is quite good. If you could tuck a piece just like he's saying now, that's really good because that does not leave a double opportunity for Nova Scotia, and access to that Nova Scotia rock in the top 4 foot is a little bit tricky due to the guard that BC has. I think the fact that their rock is behind tee is a bit of a problem, so I think as long as you can get just a piece tucked, or even if you were to overlap it on, behind it's a lot better. Would be really good.
Yeah, definitely a few different options here.
So the team's timeout has ended now. I believe they've elected to play the draw to the top 4 foot.
Very good call. If he does draw up to the 4 foot, it'd be a very tough double. And angling the side yellow would be hard. Yeah, top button they're calling here.
Yep, try and sit 2, but also just put it in a great place to make Nova Scotia's life as hard as they can.
Still taking a lot of ice on this shot, so ice still must be curling quite a bit.
Like this, guys. Yep.
Sweeper's hard on it. Looks like it's coming up a little bit short.
Yeah, Eric did indicate that light was the miss on this shot, but that over-curled by quite a lot. So unfortunately, he was on the weight side of tolerance, but not the line side of tolerance.
So it looks like Team Nova Scotia here going to try and throw that same weight, maybe tightening up the ice a little bit, as the last one ran quite straight.
We just heard Kieran McIntosh say to Ethan Young, like just asking about his rotation and what kind of rotation on the rock he was going to throw, or if he needed more ice. Could you explain what having more or less rotation means in regards to the broom?
So yeah, we put rotation on a curling rock, and the more curling rotation on the rock, the less curl. And if sometimes there is less handle, the more curl there will be of the rock. Sweeper's hard on it now. So this one over curling.
BC is still shot rock.
But yeah, one lonely red in there, that's for sure. But looks like there is a double coming from Team British Columbia. Even the hit and roll would be a very good shot.
You can probably get away with a third even. Third even? Because even if you come down. I don't think you drove it third. All right. Yeah, I like fourth. Yeah. You can never just get like half there.
Doesn't look like they're throwing a ton of weight at this shot. It's just very important. You need to get to the inside of that yellow rock.
You like less? Okay.
Yeah, Team BC looking to take a little bit less ice here. Doesn't want to be a bit wide and jam.
Clean. Oh. Oh. Yes. Oh. Oh. Ben. Hard, Ben.
Trying to make the rock curl.
Looks close.
Roll, 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 roll.
Very nice shot.
It's a pretty good shot. Nova Scotia still has an opportunity to maybe score two. One for sure, though.
Yeah, that rock is buried a little bit behind the red that they just threw, so it would be a tough tap for two, that's for sure. But yeah, definitely there to score two here. It's a good shot. So hog to hog, Team Nova Scotia looking to throw a 14. Just tap it back a little bit. Last rock here in the 7th end from Team Nova Scotia skip Ethan Young. The third is calling them off, now cleaning it. Nice shot from Skip, but will be only the single point for Team Nova Scotia. So Team British Columbia forces Team Nova Scotia to 1 here in the 7th end, and will have the hammer coming home down 1.
very close game this whole time. The first half of the game, seeing a lot of multiple points scored or even stolen, and now in the second half, we've been very much single point scoring. The teams are getting a little bit, I don't know, they're just playing very well and making each other's shots quite difficult.
So we see Team Nova Scotia here in the 8th end electing to throw a guard on this first rock. So would like to force British Columbia to their single point to take the hammer into the extra end.
So obviously BC is going to try and set this end up to potentially have a shot for 2, but ensure that they have a shot for 1. You obviously want to win the game in 8 ends, but if you can't, you do have another opportunity. So scoring is the only option in BC's case here.
So we see Team British Columbia here electing to throw the corner guard. Would love to get their deuce here in the 8th. This rock looking very nice. That's a great corner guard.
Yeah, it's got that halfway depth covering a little bit of the 8-foot, but most of the 12-foot. So really good corner guard.
Now we will see Team Nova Scotia try and draw around to the top 4. And we have another final. Team Manitoba wins 6-5 over Quebec in their first game of the Nationals.
Bit of an overcurl there, and they showed a side that allows BC to play the hit and roll behind the corner guard.
Hard early right out of the hand. Maybe a bit tight. Great sweeping from third, Mitchell Kapiko. That's a nice shot still.
Nova Scotia electing to just play the nose hit or try and get a slight roll under their centerline guard.
Cleaning from the Nova Scotia team. That's right on the nose. British Columbia throwing what I would think would be bump weight to try and hit and roll over behind their corner guard. Hard sweep. This rock really curling. Doesn't quite get the roll under.
Nova Scotia going to try and get the roll under their centerline guard again.
Rock curls quite a bit, rolls out the other side. Team British Columbia will look to hit and roll under the center guard to create their 2 points. Looking to throw that bump weight again. This rock is really curling. That one curls just a little bit too much.
Yeah, that's a pretty unfortunate miss for BC, but they still should have a couple opportunities left.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a tough one, but just have to go out there and make the next one. And definitely still have your corner guard and their center guard to work with. So still lots of time left in this end to generate 2 points.
Nova Scotia trying to put another one in the top of the house around the center line to control the center.
Great sweep from Team Nova Scotia to get this into the 8-foot. And Team BC will try and hit and roll under again.
This will be BC's third throwing the shot this time.
This is third, Mitchell Kapitko's first shot of the end. Another tough one from Team British Columbia. Just over curling that little bit. Now Team Nova Scotia will talk this one with the rest of their team, see what's best for them.
They have plenty of thinking time left on their clock.
Yeah, just under 7 minutes. Team British Columbia with 4 minutes, with still lots of time. Each team still has 1 timeout.
This is Nova Scotia's first game of the event in the last end, and it's a very close game, so they are making sure they take their time to figure out a good shot and hopefully
So yeah, that was the first miss from Team British Columbia, and this is the second miss, I believe.
Yeah, those were 2 really costly misses for British Columbia, as Nova Scotia now has an opportunity to make BC's life very difficult in being able to score their 2, even their 1.
Yeah, and then looking back in this game, depending on what the outcome is, we definitely would look at those 2 shots as key turning points in this 8th end. Oh, here we see Team Nova Scotia say about their rock having more handle. So like we talked about earlier, this rock will curl less. This one's just a bit outside, so the sweeper will look to put some curl into the rock, finishing it. But kind of lets British Columbia off the hook here, and they will have a chance to hit and roll to the middle.
Looks like they're electing to throw a little bit more weight, which should hold the rock a little bit straighter.
Yeah, this is definitely a good call to try and generate that 2 points. The only other potential call would be is to open it up the center line just to give your skip some more scoring area to score that 1 point. But BC recognizing that going to the extra end without the hammer is not the most ideal situation. Have the nose hit here.
This gives Nova Scotia the opportunity to play that roll under that BC's been trying to play for 3 shots. But you did see BC have issues with line on the first 2 over curling and the third one under curling, so you might see Nova Scotia struggle with this as well if the spot is just a tricky one in the ice.
Yeah, and because that was Team British Columbia's third's last rock, it is getting a little bit too late to open up the key, as we like to call it.
That's just the area like between the 4-foot lines to the top of the house, and then the control zone extends to like tight halfway guard in that same margin of width.
So the scoring area definitely is getting tighter, and if Team Nova Scotia can make the hit and roll to the center, it'll be very tough to score that 1 point to go to an extra. On and off, so must be close. Just rolling a little bit too far.
BC only has 2 rocks left to generate their 2 points to win this game, so they've got to try and put them in places that make Nova Scotia's shots very hard to remove them. Looks like they just want to be behind that Nova Scotia rock in the top 8-foot, hopefully full 4-foot, and see if Nova Scotia, what they can do with it. By putting it there and showing them a piece of it, it might, if they show a piece and they decide to chase it, you could actually end up hitting that rock into the Nova Scotia one that is just sitting on the right side of the sheet behind the tee line, which would give you a chance for your 2.
So big shot here from skip Eric Coel of British Columbia. Line looks good, and the weight looks close too. Hard sweep now. That is a great shot. Coming just a little bit deep though, so Team Nova Scotia might have a chance to bump this one out or come even off their own to take it out, but good draw weight from skip Eric. We see a replay here of the sweepers coming just close to that yellow rock to just get by. Yeah, if the rock would have stopped on the tee line, that would have been a little bit better, but again, great shot.
Yeah, they're still sitting shot.
Timeout here called from Team Nova Scotia, their second timeout of the game.
How much of that rock do you think you can see from the hack, Dustin?
Yeah, so we're directly behind the sheet here, and we can see about half of that rock from the right-hander's hack. So you definitely could play a hack to a bump weight to just remove it from play to guarantee that you aren't going to be giving up 2 points.
You could also throw quite a bit more weight at it and just play the straight pick.
Yeah, that's right, for sure, Paige.
The most important thing for Nova Scotia is just to try and ensure that BC does not have a shot to score 2.
So it looks like Team Nova Scotia is going to come off of their own rock to take their Team BC rock out of play. But it will leave Team British Columbia a draw for their single to go to an extra end.
So this will be the final shot for Ethan Young of Team Nova Scotia. Sweeper's called on very early.
Hard sweep from Nova Scotia. Will remove that yellow from play, but will leave skip Eric Cowell of Team BC a draw to the forefoot to go to an extra end.
He actually has 2 options here. The draw that he just threw, or even a nose hit on that Nova Scotia rock that was just thrown.
Yeah, it looks like Team British Columbia coach wants to call a timeout here. Skip of Team BC did just throw that same draw path, so will be interesting to see if he elects to play the nose takeout or play that same draw that he just threw. This is also a great opportunity for the coach to even if it's not strategy, settle the nerves, if there are any, and get the team all on the same page for this last shot of the 8th end.
Looks like their coach has changed their mind and they're going to throw the hit.
Yeah, now that the skip has an opportunity to play a hit, that might be his preference. It might not be, but this is definitely a great call. So here we have skip Eric Colwell, last rock in the 8th end, looking for the nose hit to force the extra end. Ooh.
Pretty close.
Very close. The rocks are very close, so I would not be surprised at all if the teams do decide to measure it.
And they are. So this will be the measure to determine if we go to an extra end or not.
Paige, do you have any thoughts? Which color you think it is?
Nope. It's actually very close.
Yeah, definitely close.
I'm thinking it might be red. I don't actually know though.
I would agree that I do think it's red.
At these national events, they actually do have the umpires of the games come out to measure these rocks. Athletes do not have to do it themselves, as they would usually have to do in a bonspiel or a league or anything of the sort.
So here we see, and it is
Yellow.
yellow. So that'll be 1 point for Team Nova Scotia, and they will pick up their first win of the national event, 8-6 over Team British Columbia. So British Columbia drops to 1-1.
That was a very well played game by both teams.
Yeah, very close game. And a big win for Team Nova Scotia. And just looking at some highlights of the game here in the second end, or in the first end, just running it by where there was a steal of 2. Here is where Team British Columbia draws for 2. Team Nova Scotia draws for a big 3-ender.
Team BC throws the nose hit for the 3 as well.
There's the hit and roll out from Team Nova Scotia. And the force.
Really great force by BC at that end.
And just rolling a little bit too far, but great game overall from both teams.
All right, well, that is all from us for this draw of the event.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.